all network with one another. Because while you may not be able to develop an entire block of your own on your own, you may be able to network with a handful of developers that are here to build an entire block. We have the land for you to do it.
What's going on, folks? Eddie Carrington, Mayor of Flux City, and today I regret to inform you that Dabl was unsuccessful at stopping the demolition of one of the structures located on his campus here in Detroit. The community came, showed support. We had certain city council members show their support as well, but ultimately the city as a whole determined that the building was not safe and it needed to be torn down. And so within the span of roughly 5 hours, they made the decision and pretty much had the complete structure torn down within that span of roughly 5 or so hours. But you know, at the end of the day, it was a really, really solid push from the community, from Dabl, to hopefully get a little bit more of a grace period to execute their vision. And unfortunately, the city decided that it was not something that they'd be willing to do at this point. But I would say the good thing is that this had an opportunity to put a spotlight on Dabl. Once again, he's done an amazing job with regard to reimagining this space in Detroit and making it an outdoor exhibit on top of the Bead Museum that he has, and one of those many structures that was not torn down. But this spotlight on what he's doing, which is not the first time he's had an opportunity to be spotlighted due to the amazing positive work that he's done in the city, this ultimately will give him a little bit of momentum in order to execute that master plan that he has in place, which I'll link in the description of this video. But I am really hoping to see how Dabl takes this momentum and continues to build upon it as we as a community and as a city look at this space as not just buildings and grass and things of that nature, but this is a true exhibit that people come from all over the country and the world to walk and to experience. And we have to keep these types of institutions and organizations and creators motivated and in business in one format or another. to the east side, Councilwoman Letitia Johnson is hosting a developer conference in the district that I'm currently developing within, and there's no way I can miss this. And this is because Councilwoman Johnson was very important to this project that I'm working on in East English Village. In fact, she's probably one of the first community leaders that I spoke to back in 2020, and in turn pitched the idea of redeveloping an old bank into a mixed-use facility. And I did most of the talking, but she was willing to listen, reluctantly, because developers in general do have a bad reputation here in the city of Detroit. Unfortunately, a lot of developers don't do what they promise that they'll do when it comes to executing certain visions and following the recommendations of the community, so on and so forth. But Councilwoman Johnson, who wasn't a council member at that point, she was running a nonprofit called Mecca, but she was willing to listen and provide feedback and kind of prep me for what the community over in the Morningside, Cornerstone, and East English Village neighborhoods would be looking for out of a developer. And so shout out to Councilwoman Johnson, and once again, there's no way I can miss this opportunity to sit with her team, other developers, to continue the push of redeveloping Detroit in a manner that is equitable and in a format that is what is requested by the community and being done by community in one form or another. So
I understand, but I will help them get a permit.
how you doing?
Are you a speaker or exhibitor? Or
Uh,
attendee?
Listen, I want to thank all of you for being here first and foremost. I was just having a conversation with David Howe, and he said in his 11 years with the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation that he's not seen this type of event. Some of you may know about my interest in development, and prior to me being an elected official, I dabbled a little bit, but one of the things that I realized when I got into the position was that there were a number of people who shied away from the process of going through to get abatements, to get incentives, to understand different programs that are available to developers. And the reason this event is important to me is because when you get that support, when you sign up for the programs, you get grant support to help with your development, especially whether it's residential or commercial, you can bring your rental rates down, right? And if anyone knows me, you know that one of the things that I really look forward to as we revitalize the city of Detroit is making sure that Detroiters can stay here in the city. The best way for us to do that until we figure out how to permanently reduce our property taxes is for our developers to know and understand about these incentives, these programs that are available that help you with your capital stack so that your rental rates don't have to be so high, that you can accommodate Detroiters every walk of life to make sure that they can stay here in the city of Detroit. And so that is really the reason that we're all here. The other selfish reason is I want to make sure you all know about District 4. I want to make sure you know about the assets in District 4, and if you turn around, you can see one of them, the Detroit River, right? to make sure that you all know about the opportunities in District 4. District 4 has the most vacant land than any other district. So there are a number of opportunities. And we have some phenomenal speakers that will share with you all information about District 4, as well as departments that will walk you through the process on getting permitted, applying for a tax abatement. We even have the state here to talk about programs that they have. And so I wanted to have developers here to make sure you all knew about these programs, because while I know about just the surface of them, they can delve into the details to make sure you know how to access them. And so I'm so grateful to have all of our presenters here, so grateful to have all of the developers here who may have an interest in doing work in District 4, but I also recognize that some of you may take the information and say, no, let me go to another district in the city. Jason Cole is saying, no, don't do that. I would say that as well. But I want to ensure that you all network with one another, because while you may not be able to develop an entire block of your own on your own, you may be able to network with a handful of developers that are here to build an entire block. We have the land for you to do it. We have the Detroit Land Authority who will be here. We have the Detroit Building Authority who will be here. So if you're focused on commercial, if you'd like to put a strip mall somewhere, they can walk you through the process to acquire any publicly owned land, properties. We'll have the City Planning Commission if you need to rezone something. The Planning and Development Department will talk about the strategic neighborhoods that are in District 4. And so you're in for a wealth of information, and I know we have a long day, but it's needed because
that's more important. Not only did we want to have a statewide plan for housing, but we also wanted to make sure that that plan met the needs of the local communities. This is a map of those 15 regional housing partnerships. You'll see that the city of